Hey folks, welcome to PlayBranson, the show where you get to know Branson's entertainers better. I'm your host, Chris Meyer, and today's episode is brought to you by iBranson.com. It's the place where you can plan your entire Branson vacation, lodging, shows, attractions. So be sure to visit iBranson.com. Our guest today is Lynn Knudsen of Six. Six is an orchestra of human voices. And so I look forward to talking to Lynn again. Now, are you looking for who's playing in Branson tonight? Well, you can now go to thevacationchannel.com and see Branson's show and attraction schedules. Click on the show button in the top right-hand corner and you'll see all the latest shows here in Branson. Now, if you're one in town and you want to know more about Branson restaurants, well, folks, I got something you need to check out. It's the Taste of Branson. It's a great publication to check out. Lots of great samples of menus, and it lists most of the area restaurants in the back, and it's free. It's located all over town in racks. So if you're like, hey, I want to know what some of the menus are in town, this is a great publication to check out. So if you're here trying to figure out where do I eat, you have hundreds of restaurants to pick from. This is a magazine that can help you make better restaurant decisions. Now, we'll be back in just a minute with Lynn Knudsen. Hang tight.
There are so many things to do in Branson. You need help planning and booking all your fun. You need iBranson.com. You can find everything Branson has to offer from your computer, tablet, or cell phone. You can even buy tickets online or talk to one of their friendly Branson travel specialists. There's no sales pitches, no delivery fees, no service fees, and no waiting. It's fast and easy. Find your fun at iBranson.com. Do it all online or call 877-ENTERTAIN. That's 877-368-3782. iBranson.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to PlayBranson. On today's show, I have Lynn Knudsen with the group Six. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Chris. It's good to see you again.
Yeah.
It's been a couple of years.
Yes, it's been, I think 2 years we said since you've been on the show, and it's like, man, how time flies.
Gosh. Yeah, that went fast.
It does. So I said earlier in the first segment that Six is an orchestra of human voices, and we're going to talk about your show this year, but I always like to go back and let's talk history and tell us how you got into this business. And some people may not even know it, but Six is actually six brothers.
Yeah, we are brothers. And for years, before we ever came to Branson, we were known as the Knudsen brothers, which is, Knudsen is our last name. And most people could never pronounce it correctly. So we decided a couple of years before we came to Branson, we started playing around with different names to call ourselves. And by the time we came to Branson, we settled on Six. But we have been in this business since 1975.
That's a long time.
So next year will be 50 years.
50 years.
I was just a little guy when we started.
Yeah.
Pretty young.
And so tell people how you guys got started.
Well, every week, our family would gather around the television every Friday night, and we would watch Donnie and Marie. And my dad had already told us about the Osmond brothers. I remember one conversation he had with me personally. He said, you know who the Osmond brothers are? I said, yeah, I guess. I've heard of Donnie Osmond. Donnie was a teen idol at the time. He goes, those guys sing perfectly. Well, close to perfect. And he goes, you guys could sing like them. And I want to teach you guys to do that. Well, he was a high school musician of sorts. He loved music. And he was, for a high school student, he was quite accomplished. He played several different instruments. He knew how to read music. He understood theory. Some people thought that he actually had a college education in music. But anyway, he was just always inspired by the Osmonds. And by 1975, he said, we're going to do this, boys. And he started teaching us songs. He made us sit down and he played out our parts on the piano.
Yeah.
And he would play them over and over again, line by line in each song until we learned our parts. And it was tedious. It was monotonous. We hated it. But he made us do it anyway. And after a few months, we were learning songs and able to sing them in 4-part harmony.
And so did it get better, I guess, at that point?
And so after 3 years of his working with us, we actually got to be on the Osmond show.
I bet you he was ecstatic.
He was just, he thought this was, the best thing that ever happened, with his boys.
And so in that 3 years, by the time and of course that was a long time ago, but by the time where you were on the show, as brothers, did you guys feel differently about doing it?
Oh yes, we didn't hate it anymore.
Yeah.
We thought it was awesome. And we were still quite young. I think I was 13 at the time. Didn't really understand a whole lot about the industry and, television, live TV, the kind of, Osmonds, the Osmonds they'd already had years of experience in television, and I think TV really polishes you as an entertainer. If you're on a weekly TV program, you can't, there's no way to duplicate that. That's why I always loved Andy Williams. When he was still playing in Branson when we got here, he was my favorite show because he carried his TV experience. He was just so entertaining to watch. And he just basically stood up there and sang, but he had such charm and charisma, and just a great entertainer and singer.
So the Osmond, you're on television. Did that really help then spur you guys on to do this as a career, or what happened after that?
It definitely, we thought, wow, we get to sing on TV. Yeah, we're going to do this.
Okay.
And we stuck at it. We never stopped. Went through a lot of changes, experimented with instruments. I learned how to play the drums, played them for about 10 years.
Wow. I don't think I knew that. That might be a new fact.
The instruments never really fit into the act, though. We found that we were better off just singing with no instruments.
Yeah. So when did the instruments become part of, when I say the instruments, the what I call the beatbox component, where it sounds like you instruments, when did that start happening with y'all?
Right now, if you see our show, you see 6 guys up there who all look like they're singing. But what it really is it's 4 singers, a guy who's playing bass and a guy who's playing drums. And we got that format from a nightclub that we did out in California back in the late 80s. There was just 4 of us in the group at the time. It was the 4 oldest, Barry, Kevin, me, and Jack. And we were singing at this nightclub. We got a gig there, and we hired a drummer and a bass player to be our backup band. And we did all the vocals, we sang all the harmonies, and we had these 2 guys behind us, and it was a 30s and 40s club. The swing big band music kind of made a resurgence in the 80s and 90s, at least in certain circles. And so we learned a bunch of that kind of music, and we had these 2 guys backing us up, and we thought, well, this is a good format because it created a really full sound. We we sang pretty good together as brothers, doing the 4-part harmony, and then you got some guy on a stand-up bass, and then the drummer, and it was pretty cool.
And so you just out of that transition.
And so by the early 90s, vocal percussion was becoming quite prolific in the a cappella world.
That's really interesting. So from an a cappella band standpoint, you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're one of the longest running a cappella groups in the country.
I'd say we're the longest.
The longest, yeah.
As far as original members go.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 5 oldest are still in the group. We've had personnel change a couple of times since we've been here at Branson.
Right.
Brother number 6 retired, and so we brought in brother number 7, and he's got about 3 years under his belt being in the group.
Yeah.
And
now, how many total brothers are there? How many total brothers are there?
There's 10.
10. That's what I thought. 10 brothers.
10 brothers.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But the new guy, he's done. He really didn't even have any experience, so we just brought him in and said, "Here, try it."
Yeah. That's the benefit of being a brother, though.
Quick learner, and I'm just amazed at what he's done.
Yeah. So, okay, we're going to stop right here, folks. We'll be back in just a second with more with Lynn Knudsen of 6.
Going to Branson for some relaxation and fun? You've got to stay with Branson's award-winning hotel family, Meyer Hotels. Meyer Hotels features 4 hotels in Branson with the best locations for your trip. Choose from brands you know and trust, like the Holiday Inn Express on Green Mountain Drive, the Best Western Centerpoint Inn, Comfort Inn at Thousand Hills, and the Comfort Inn and Suites. Enjoy refreshing indoor pools and hot tubs. Do you like free? How about a free hot breakfast each morning? Free vacation planning services, and of course, smiles are always free. Want even more value? Go to MeyerHospitality.com and join our e-club to save 15% off your next stay and check out incredible deals with our vacation packages. Call 1-877-FUN-STAY to book Branson's award-winning hotels or visit MeyerHospitality.com. It's your safe choice for award-winning lodging in Branson. MeyerHospitality.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. Today we are talking with Lynn Knudsen of 6, and if you just saw the last episode, you heard a little bit about their history. And so tell me, when did you guys start in Branson? Because you've been here a long time now.
We started, a month shy of 18 years ago.
Okay.
We started in November of 06.
Okay. Now, if somebody has never seen your show, maybe they haven't even been to Branson and watching this, tell people, what are they going to get when they come to a 6 show?
Well, you're going to see 6 brothers, and you're going to hear this big sound, but it's coming from 6 guys with just microphones. And I mean, people call it a cappella. I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily call what we do a cappella. Because that's kind of a limiting, to me, that's kind of a limiting term. We try to put on a show. And we learned years ago, especially with certain experiences, markets that we played in, that you've got to put entertainment value into your performance.
Right.
And so you get comedy, you get a lot of singing, you get some, I think, some great arrangements, and just a variety. It's almost like we'll go from one genre, that's 30 years removed from another one, or 40 years, from song to song.
Right.
We like variety. We keep it changed up throughout the show. But you're going to hear a big sound, and you're going to forget that it's just 6 guys up there with 6 microphones.
Yeah. And so I think that's the interesting thing. One of the really interesting things that makes you guys unique and different, because to me, when I go, I feel like there's a whole band there, but it's y'all.
Yeah.
And like nobody else does that in Branson. And of course, when we talk about personality of brothers, it is very evident that you guys are all very different. And that comes through very much in the show.
I still marvel at how, I see some similarities between me and a few other brothers, and I see how we got some of our traits from our dad and mom. I make those connections, but at the end of the day, we're all very, very different. One thing I think we're proud of as far as being in Branson is that we've been able to play here now for pretty much 18 years. And it's a testament to going beyond, a cappella.
Right.
I guess that's our format, but we don't consider ourselves, like I said, we don't view ourselves through this a cappella lens. We view ourselves as singers up there and just going with the sound. And we have seen a cappella groups come and go in this town in the last 18 years. And I'm personally very happy to see that we have endured all the changes in Branson.
Yeah.
And Branson continues to change.
Well, and I think you guys are very creative. And I mean, the last time I saw the show, I think you guys had something that was it was called Barber Rock. And you took literally two different styles of music and put them together, and it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's a fun bit. We say our dad started us out on barbershop harmony.
Right.
And we actually did barbershop for about 10 years. We did that format. And so, but we also wanted to be a rock band at the same time. Kevin, Jack, and I especially, we had a punk band in high school, and we had our cousin from California who knew all about punk. He had moved to where we lived, and we got him as the lead vocalist because none of us could scream like him. But anyway, so we basically decided to make a bid out of combining barbershop with, rock, punk rock or hard rock, and we call it barber rock.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is your favorite part of the show, or do you have a favorite?
That's a good question. I think it depends on the night.
Yeah.
Or on the whatever show we're doing.
Okay.
Sometimes, one song in the show, I'll think, boy, that was perfect. That was the best part of the show.
Yeah.
Or it's a comedic bit that just seemed to really soar for that show. I think it just depends.
Okay.
I like all of the show. I just like being up there for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. There's not very many people that can entertain, number one, for as long as you guys do, and that you make it your career. It's a very small, select group of people.
We've been very blessed. I don't know how we've pulled it off.
Well, you guys are good entertainers.
You just keep going. You just stick with it.
Yeah. Tell people where you're at, and tell people typically your show schedule.
Okay. We play at the Pepsi Legends Theater, which is formerly the Dick Clark American Bandstand Theater. Our typical show schedule is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday nights at 8 p.m.,
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays at 3 p.m.
Okay.
Most of the time this year we're doing 6 shows a week, but some of the months we're doing 5, eliminating the Saturday. But
Okay.
It's basically that's the schedule with very, very little variation.
And you guys, I think, have your 25 schedule already out.
Yeah, we
for
do.
next year. And
Yeah.
so, folks, they're
Very
gonna be-
similar to
Yeah.
this year.
They'll be back when you watch this. If the season is already closed, they will be back in 2025 at the same theater. And you've been there for a while now at that theater.
We got there in 20, 21, 2, 3. We're finishing our 5th year there.
Yeah. Yeah. So and you'd been at some other theaters in Branson as well, but you've been there for a while. And, you guys have done a lot of things before you came to Branson. I mean, you were out in LA, and that's you were singing on the street corners. And then
We did.
You started getting invited to these big events with actors
We
and
did. We met
actresses and
wow.
all
We were.
sorts of stuff.
Yeah, we met. We ended up singing at Arnold Schwarzenegger's. This was a long time ago. I mean, 40th birthday
Yeah.
party, right there. I think it was in Bel Air. That was the specific. It was in L.A. It was. I believe it was Bel Air. It's been so long. We met a bunch. He had celebrity friends there. I mean, this was a big deal.
Yeah.
And we were the entertainment.
Yeah. That's cool. And then you've
We've
been
had
in
a lot of cool experiences like that.
but you've been in Vegas, and
We were in Vegas for a couple of years.
and you've opened for lots of, correct me if I'm wrong, but lots of big stars you guys have
We
opened
have.
for over also.
I think We opened for the Beach Boys twice. We opened once for Trisha Yearwood. Yeah, there's quite a list there.
Tell me Christmas show. So we're in Christmas season. What do you do to your show during Christmas?
We keep the first half, the half before intermission. We just basically keep that the same.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's the second half that we transition to Christmas.
Okay.
Where we just do a bunch of Christmas songs, comedic bits that have to do with Christmas.
Okay. So
we change it a little bit each year, but it's 2 months out of the year, so we don't overhaul. We don't do too much overhauling of that section. A lot of it's pretty traditional. There's certain routines that people like to come back and see. So
how do you determine what's in the first half? Like, is it just the best of, or do you just say, here's what how do you do that?
Whoever has the best ideas, we just go with them.
Okay.
We do try to make the first half strong. So if people are worn out by intermission, they
That's fun.
No. It's funny because before we ever got to Branson, the longest our shows were 55 minutes. That's what we were used to doing, is just 55 minutes. We didn't do 2-hour shows.
Okay.
Most of the time. So we learned how to pack a lot in 55 minutes, and that's kind of still what we do. And then we try to, in the second half, we try to, put a new twist on some things, spice things up. We throw in a little more variety.
Okay.
But we do try to make the first half strong.
One last thing, you guys have a cruise coming up next year. You want to plug the cruise?
Yeah, we did it this last January, and we're doing it again January 25th through February 1st, and it's going to be on Norwegian Epic. It's a pretty big ship. It's like 150,000 tons.
Sounds big to me.
It is. It's one of the bigger ones, and you can still book it on our website. www.thesixshow.com.
Okay, so folks, maybe you like Six, or you're a fan. You've been a fan of them, and you want to hang out with them. Can they hang out, kind of? Or
Yes, the cruise is we call it a fan cruise.
Okay,
we do like 3 different special appearances, you could say, but they're very low key. It's just like we sing and then just mix and mingle.
okay,
So people can sit around and watch us in a different environment, perform perhaps maybe some of the things we used to do 30 or 40 years ago
okay.
that were a lot more low key.
Okay, so folks, go to the website, check it out. You can learn more about this cruise at thesixshow.com. But go catch their Christmas show out. You have a little bit of time left to do that. Of course, the first half we just talked about will be some of the traditional music and some of the stuff from their normal show. Second half will be Christmas. So you have just a couple weeks left to go see their Christmas show. And I want to say, is it through December 28th? I think somewhere around in there, right? It goes through, you go through.
I know we have 3 or 4 shows the last week of December.
Yeah, the last week. So
we play basically all through December.
Okay, folks, go check Six out. You're going to be blown away. You're not going to believe what you hear and what you see on stage, but it is all real, all authentic, and one of the longest running a cappella groups, even though you don't always like a cappella, but in the entire country. So see what makes them different and unique. Go check them out. We'll be back in just a second to wrap the show up.
There are so many things to do in Branson. You need help planning and booking all your fun. You need iBranson.com. You can find everything Branson has to offer from your computer, tablet, or cell phone. You can even buy tickets online or talk to one of their friendly Branson travel specialists. There's no sales pitches, no delivery fees, no service fees, and no waiting. It's fast and easy. Find your fun at iBranson.com. Do it all online or call 877-ENTERTAIN. That's 877-368-3782. iBranson.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. We've been talking to Lynn Knudsen with Six. Now you'll find Six playing at the Pepsi Legends Theater, and they're there on 8 p.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, 3 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursday and Saturday. Now, their last show of the season is December 28th, and towards the end of the year, that schedule that I just gave you may be a little different, so be sure to go check out their schedule on thevacationchannel.com to get the latest show schedules. Now, if you need help planning your Branson vacation, be sure to visit ibranson.com, or you can call those folks at 877-ENTERTAIN, and they can help you plan your entire Branson vacation. There's still time to get here before the end of the season. Now, you can find all of our Play Branson episodes on social media, on Facebook, on YouTube. We always encourage people to go to our YouTube channel and subscribe so you won't miss an episode, or you can also find us on thevacationchannel.com. This week, go thank an entertainer, show your support, and go see some live entertainment this week. That's it for today. We'll see you next week here on Play Branson.